This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Grant, it's Wednesday, which means what?
It's Friday. I'm kidding. It's Hump Day.
You had one job, Grant, and you failed me. Oh, my gosh. We're looking for a new co-host on the Bax and whoever's show now. Maybe intern Laura needs to get promoted. Come on, Grant. One more time. It's Wednesday, which means it's
Hump Day.
There it is. Oh, my gosh. I look forward all week to your hump day, and the one time I need you to hump day it, you forget it, and you go for Friday, and I can't even, Grant. I can't even on a Wednesday morning. It's just exciting. It's April Fool's Day, Grant, and this is our special April Fool's Day edition of the show, which means that I want to kick off the show by talking about the biggest landmark trade that we have seen in a long time, Grant. Do you know what that is?
I have really no idea.
You have no idea what
I'm a
landmark
scared.
trade we're talking about on our April Fool's Day show?
No, I
Oh
don't.
my gosh, Grant, let me shed some light on it for you. So there's this small town in Wisconsin called Green Bay, Wisconsin, okay? It's a beautiful city. They have this one player on their team called Aaron Rodgers. A great player, really good player. But he unfortunately no longer plays for the Green Bay Packers anymore. It came out this morning that Aaron Rodgers has been traded to who, Grant? To who?
I don't even want to talk about
To the
it.
Cleveland Browns, Grant. They've been traded to the Cleveland Browns, and Johnny Manziel has been swapped for a 7th-round draft pick to the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers will be taking his talents south of the border now to the land of Ohio, where the Cleveland Browns might actually have a playoff chance now, Grant. How do you feel about that trade?
Well, getting rid of their star-studded player like Johnny Manziel, that might be a little interesting for some people, considering that he's taken them to a couple Super Bowls, gotten a ring out of it. So, and Rodgers hasn't gotten one since 2010.
It's been a long time, and here we've seen Johnny Manziel and the Cleveland Browns win back-to-back Super Bowls for the first time in franchise history. I mean, you talk about a guy like Johnny Manziel, stellar collegiate career, stellar off the field, all the charity work that he does. The man is an absolute legend on and off the field. He makes guys like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning look like preschoolers.
I don't even know who you're talking about when you say Tom Brady.
Exactly. Tom Brady, that 6th-round draft pick that never fully panned out for the New England Patriots. We thought he might do something. Then he ends up getting hurt. Then a guy like Tim Tebow comes and plays for the Patriots, stops Brady from being the starting quarterback, and now Tim Tebow will more than likely be a Hall of Fame quarterback, especially after his 2nd MVP award in the last 7 years.
It's just really interesting to think about that.
It really is.
What could happen throughout the world?
It's amazing to see that the best quarterbacks in the league right now are Johnny Manziel, Brock Osweiler, and Tim Tebow. It almost makes me remember the good old days when a guy named Charlie Batch was considered to be one of the best quarterbacks when the Detroit Lions franchise was just so dangerous and so incredibly talented and ruled the NFC North for so many years. I know that so many people agree with me when I say that the Lions franchise is just so historic, and the fact is that they put, different franchises like the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have just dominated the AFC since coming into the league. Only, 10, 15 years ago? They haven't even been in the league that long, and they've just had their transitions have been fantastic.
Make deep runs into the playoffs almost every year.
They have. They really have, and it's just amazing to see that the teams in the AFC are continuing to grow, and the NFC as a whole, though, has kind of had a weird change in formation with how the teams are. But another big thing that happened, Grant, that we want to make sure we don't forget about is in the NBA. The NBA is an exciting time. There's new players coming in all the time, but another big trade is the NFL, I know it's what we're talking about. The NBA draft is starting to come up around the corner. Obviously, the finals are still coming as well, but a big trade happening. The Milwaukee Bucks trading Michael Carter-Williams, who they acquired just recently. They're like, you know what, Michael, you're great now, but we're going to trade you. We're going to get some more value out of it. They end up executing a 2-player trade with the Miami Heat getting in Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade for Michael Carter-Williams. So I think that move right there really solidifies the fact that the Milwaukee Bucks are an exciting franchise now and can really make a deep playoff push. Now, obviously, I understand Chris Bosh is dealing with injuries. He won't be able to return for the rest of the season, but having Dwayne Wade on the Milwaukee Bucks really guarantees that this team can really move forward, especially when Jabari Parker's healthy next season.
Yeah, and even though they have been struggling as of late, I think they would definitely be more of a playoff threat. Everybody would be saying LeBron who.
Exactly. I don't even really know who LeBron is. It's more James Harden, Russell Westbrook, a lot of those guys. I'm not even sure who LeBron is.
Well, even though Chris Bosh is good, you're not going to be able to top our 5 reigning Steph Curry because, I mean, you just can't top
the man
him.
is the best in the
So if the
in
Bucks
the
could have
NBA,
gotten him,
that would have been ideal.
That would have been great.
That would have been ideal. They wanted them to throw in, who was the other player? The Milwaukee Bucks were going to trade Michael Carter-Williams, and I believe it was Larry Sanders, but Larry Sanders decided to go and retire early, unfortunately, so that kind of threw off that trade. And Steph Curry's like, look, I'm only going if you, or the Golden State's like, we'll only trade you, Steph, if we get Larry Sanders, and Larry Sanders decided to back out. It became a bit of a hot mess, and either way, Steph Curry still resides down playing for the New Orleans Pelicans and just continues to make that franchise just a fantastic, dominant force in the NBA. Grant, now, in terms of all this sports nonsense, I know that there's just so much going on, and I know that you can barely contain it. I know in the hockey world, you have some... It's hard for you to grasp the concept of how good the Arizona Coyotes are right now. And I was hoping that you'd be able to give us a little bit of background of what makes the Coyotes such a dominant team right now as they continue to dominate the Western Conference in NHL.
Well, we were really concerned for the Coyotes because they were the Phoenix Coyotes for a while.
It's a bit of an identity crisis.
Yeah, and they weren't playing well, and everybody was like, what's going on? And then they went to Arizona, and they were like, How are they going to do? Are they going to play well? We don't really know how they're going to do. And they've just come out this season and taken the NHL by storm. They have had fantastic goaltending. They've had top goal scorers. It's just been fantastic. They always take overtime. They're always on fire. They have a fantastic power play, #1 power play. They are rival to some of the greatest teams of all time. They rivaled, I believe it was the '82 Edmonton Oilers.
Wow.
That are...
To put them in the same category as the Edmonton Oilers really speaks volumes of how good this Coyotes team is.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's been a great year for the Coyotes, but on the flip side of that, you look at some of the bottom teams, and you've got teams like the Minnesota Wild, the Detroit Red Wings, and then, unfortunately, the St. Louis Blues, who have yet to win 10 games this season. Talk about how much that means to see the team trying to hope and pray that Martin Brodeur continues to fight, and he just can't. TJ Oshie broke his ankle first day of practice, tying up his skates, and for some reason the Blues organization, they're at 9 wins, Grant. They're so close to getting that 10th win. What do the Blues need to do to turn around to try to make a playoff push?
Well, it's really all but over. Right now they need to try to trade Brodeur away. Hopefully that...
I feel like TJ Oshie isn't the answer.
TJ Oshie is the answer.
He's busy eating Oshios. He's too busy eating his own cereal. Who has their own cereal, Grant? Come on.
Good players.
Good players? Obviously, he's not a good player. He's broke his ankle tying his skates.
I mean, it happens, okay?
Does it?
Some of us are
I've
naturally...
never broken my ankle tying my skates. He plays hockey for a living, Grant.
Well, how many times have you put on a skate? He makes a living putting on skates.
I've put on skates
I guarantee
multiple
he puts on skates more than you.
I don't know about
that. But
anyway,
hopefully Elliott can get back
that would
to
be nice.
His full injury free self. But they just need to trade Brodeur away, or he needs to retire. Something needs to happen. They need to trade up, maybe get rid of Backus, maybe even trade away TJ Oshie to see if you can.
There's really exciting prospects out there.
Yeah, see if you can get a #1 draft spot, or even though are fighting for, I don't know, maybe like, because the Boston Bruins right now are struggling and only have 5 wins right now in the season, so maybe they could trade up and get their spot.
That
so
would be
you never know.
Highly enjoyable, I feel like, if they're able to trade up and take away the Bruins' #1 spot in the NHL draft. Now, the last thing we want to talk about before we go to break is March Madness. It's in full swing right now. The Final Four is officially set. You look at some of the teams, Grant. Who are 2 of the 4 teams that you are just excited to watch in their game?
Well, I am just the one team that I'm really excited. The Dream Team, Coastal Carolina.
Coastal Carolina, the 16th seed,
comes out of nowhere, beating Wisconsin.
They did.
Absolute huge upset.
They put up 30-plus more points than Kentucky did in the Elite Eight, just completely burying them. Just an overall amazing team. And they also are taking on the likes of so many other great teams. You've got Coastal Carolina You also look at the fact that Tennessee Volunteers are there now. It's Coastal Carolina and Tennessee will be on the one side, and then you flip it over on the other side, and you've got who, Grant?
Minnesota.
Making a huge run.
With actually surprisingly getting a NCAA bid that nobody was expecting them to get. And then out of nowhere, after having an awful season, Rutgers comes out.
Rutgers, it's a double Big Ten on one side, and then you've got Coastal Carolina and Tennessee on the other. The Big Ten represented so well, it makes me proud to be a Big Ten fan, Grant. I know that it's hard. You've got Minnesota versus Rutgers in that one Final Four, and then you've got Coastal Carolina and I like Coastal Carolina's chances of taking this game and moving on their way to trying to win back-to-back NCAA championships for the first time in school history.
As 16 seeds.
They've done it both years.
The Cinderella team.
Which you feel like after they'd win it last year, everyone would be like, maybe they're at least a 14 seed or a 12 seed. No, 16 seed again. That seems to be the lucky number. It's exciting to see. And on the other side, I don't know. Rutgers, they're a dominant program. They did really well in the Big Ten this year. I feel like they were able to, their win against Wisconsin and Michigan State and Ohio State, they kind of just mopped the floor of everybody. And, it'll be curious to see. I'd like to see a Coastal Carolina and Rutgers final. I don't know about you.
I would like to see Coastal Carolina go all the way again.
I would.
Just to be like, hey, to the committee who decides on the seeding and whatnot and how good we are. We decide how good we are, not you. We can beat whoever you put us against.
I think so. I think we need to make the campaign for hashtag Coastal Carolina is better than a 16 seed. That's a really long hashtag, but they deserve a lot more respect. But anyway, Grant, we're going to take a fast break. When we come back, Megan Landvatter's in studio, and she's going to help continue with the exciting show that is the Baxter Grant Sports Show. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. This is Bax.
And I'm Grant.
How you doing, Grant? You having a good time so far?
I wouldn't say that.
You're not having a good time on our April Fool's edition of the Bax and Grant Sports Show?
It hurt my head a little
bit. For
bit.
everybody that just had multiple heart attacks and got admitted to the hospital during our first segment, it was all a joke. We promise. If you tuned in at the wrong time throughout the show, well, I'm sorry. But it was a lot of fun. I had a great time making Grant sweat bullets next to me.
That was awful.
Because before we go on the air, I'm like, Grant, do you trust me? He's like, not really. I'm like, perfect. That's all we need. It was fun, though.
I honestly got a headache.
It was. It was a lot of fun. It was a little bit of a headache. I'm sorry for that. We'll have to take care of that. We'll just
drink some water.
Drink some water. Hydrate.
I need a massage.
Ooh, massages are good. I definitely recommend them. We'd like to welcome into our studio now, though, for something a little bit more serious, but still kind of humorous. Megan Landvatter. Welcome in, Megan. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful. Well, we've asked you here today to help us talk about things that unfortunately have happened in the sports world. that we wish were April Fool's jokes, though. So I don't know exactly, like, if you've got a specific one you want to jump to right away. I know we've got a few we want to talk about, but we'll let you take the lead on this one.
All right, actually, I'm going to go a little bit more serious with mine.
Okay, please.
But I don't know if you heard, but John Axford, who was a pitcher, he's a reliever for the Colorado Rockies, and his son got bit by a rattlesnake, and he's 2 years old. So I wish that was an April Fool's joke. That's just really sad.
It is. It is really sad to see that.
Yeah, for everyone who is following the story, though, they said that they can save his foot, I think, but they're thinking they have to amputate a toe.
Wow. So his son got bit, like, on the leg, on the foot? Or?
I guess, yeah. I don't know, on the foot. Yeah. And, of course, John Axford actually used to pitch for the Brewers, so I've always been a fan of his. And obviously anyone who's going through that.
You were a fan of John Axford?
Yeah, okay. Let's just review this, okay?
Please.
John Axford struggled a little bit towards the end there.
A little?
All right.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
I don't know. I don't know
much
about baseball.
Do you remember the streak before that, though, where he had like all these saves? He was great. He's like one of the best relievers in the entire major. In all of the MLB.
That was for like a season, and then he had
two
awful seasons.
Can I enjoy him? We used to have Eric Gagne. Okay, like I'm just gonna throw that out there because Eric Gagne, again, in his prime, he was another one who was really good. But by the time he came to the Brewers, it was over.
Isn't that for most people that come to the Brewers by that point?
Hey, now.
I'm just saying.
Actually, here's what happens with the Brewers.
Please.
Either we get them when they're washed up, or we send them away and they do wonderful things.
That's usually more so how it goes. Unless you're Yovani Gallardo, who is just struggling hardcore down in Texas.
Well, we'll see how that works out.
Yeah.
It is just spring.
It is.
It's
springtime in MLB, and the birds are singing, the tank is clean, and I don't know. That's Finding Nemo. I don't know. Anyway, so one for you, Grant, that I wanna say is that I for me at least, I wish that one was an April Fool's deal, or April's Fool joke was the contract for Giancarlo Stanton, where he signed. I don't even know how many years was it, Megan? Do you know? Was it 8 or 9 years? I think for $325 million. I wish that was an April Fool's joke.
When you reminded me of that this morning, I was like, oh my gosh, that's right.
I wish the Miami Marlins would have been like, just kidding. Here's $7 million. We're gonna go give the rest to charity or to a player, not one player. Like you don't pay a player that much money. It's stupid.
Like people give football a lot of crap for paying their players a lot of money.
Like Jay Cutler. That's just an April Fool. I just want to say the word Jay Cutler, and that's an April Fool's joke.
Honestly, $17 million a year to.
But he's a great player. Said no one ever.
Stop. But for baseball, they look at how much they pay their players.
Yeah.
It's like you will always see a contract, or not always,
13-year. Sorry.
A 13-year, $325 million deal.
Sorry, Grant, continue.
No, that's okay. But you will see more deals than the average deal going over $100 million. So just baseball there's more money in baseball, especially organizations like the New York Yankees. They have all the money. And also because we've talked about it before, baseball does not have a salary cap. Mm-hmm. They just have
Which is disgusting within itself.
They just have a ceiling that they have to pay a fee to, if they go over that, like per every, I don't know the exact rules, but like per every 1,000, let's say, they have to pay like $50 extra, for example, but to keep organizations, quote unquote, in check.
Yes.
But if you're an organization like the Yankees and you have a lot more money than organizations like the Brewers do, you can just
the Brewers don't have money
compared to the Yankees.
Come on, the Brewers are one of the richest franchises ever.
That's why we're so good every single
year. In history
year.
of beer drinking, I don't know. Anyway.
But yeah, if you have the money, it's kind of like a pay-to-win sort of thing that the Yankees can just pump so much money into the organization. That's a good question.
I've always wondered that. Now, Megan, I know you're a huge March Madness fan.
I am,
You are a diehard. You basically be on the court playing with the players if you could. That's how much you live and breathe March Madness. If there is one game or several games maybe that you could pick that were... You wish they were April Fool's jokes for how they ended during this tournament. What would be a few that would jump out at you?
I have two that come to mind.
Please.
All right. The first one is the Kentucky Notre Dame game. Because for multiple reasons, I thoroughly believe. Let me tell you this: that the Badgers can beat Kentucky. I think we are plenty capable of it. That being said, I would rather not play Kentucky. Also, I had Notre Dame in my Final Four and multiple brackets, and they were really close, so it kind of broke my heart.
Of course.
So if that could just have happened differently. Oh, it's okay.
We're here
I'm
for
over
you.
it now.
Okay.
I'm good.
As long as you're over it.
Also, the Oklahoma-Michigan State game, because, again, Oklahoma in my championship, and they lose.
Woo! That hurts.
Michigan State.
So in one of my brackets, I currently have 3 out of my Final 4 out. In another bracket, I have 3 out of 4 right. So it kind of worked out.
I suppose.
don't know.
I suppose, yeah.
If there was one big game for me,
Yeah.
it would be the second game of the tournament, Iowa State losing to...
I would love Iowa State.
Was it Georgia? Did they lose to Georgia State?
Georgia State, yeah. I wish that was an April Fool's joke. I would love to have woken up the next morning and being like, just kidding. Iowa State actually is not as bad as everyone thought they weren't.
You know what?
Right, you got that right.
I don't know. Sometimes English doesn't work.
I have one more thing I wish was an April Fool's joke.
Please.
And that would be, okay, I don't know. I guess I didn't realize this, but did you realize that for the NFL draft, they are demanding that Chicago close streets for 3 weeks? They're not going to pay for a venue because they are a non-profit. And they would like Chicago to just give them $4 million in free advertising. And other people cannot advertise for the draft. Like, you can't have a bar and be like, watch the NFL draft here. You can't do that. It's not allowed. And I think that is ridiculous because they're a multi-billion-dollar corporation and they can't pay for a venue or advertise. I mean, really.
Yeah,
that's a joke.
I find that funny that the NFL technically is a non-profit organization.
I kind of forget about that a lot because there's so much money that swims around in that organization. I feel like they have a slush fund like Nixon did during his presidency. Yay, I learned something in class. Dr. Beck, if you're listening, I do pay attention, I promise. Anyway, yeah, really? I honestly had no idea about that. That's 3 weeks? Why do they need 3 weeks?
Is Chicago actually granting them that?
Well, you know.
Because I really hope
They
not.
need the money, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Chicago is just
are you
a
gonna?
hot mess.
I guess are you gonna turn down the? But see, I would. Why would you? Because they not only $4 million in free advertising, they want $4 million to hold the event. So I don't know who's paying for that because
Taxpayers.
I was gonna say, is that tax? Are you? I mean, as a taxpayer,
Jay Cutler's salary next year.
But Ed Baxter and I, we've had this conversation. Yeah, it's an NFL venue and it's an NFL event, but it's not really all that big of a deal. Because how much were tickets? Weren't they?
About $100 because we were looking at going to the draft just for grins and giggles.
Yeah, just for fun. And we were like, why would we spend $100 to do what we could do on a couch and just watch TV?
Because think about it, round trip gas will put you maybe $60 to $80, depending on that. A ticket a person is $100. You pay for food while you're there. You're looking at maybe $300 to maybe $400 for one person
for one day.
Just
Not
to go
even the
see
whole draft.
Jameis Winston stand on the stage with his pudgy
he's not
belly.
even. Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota.
That's right.
Both
That's right. They're both not
gonna
even going. Did you see the pictures that Jameis Winston looks like he's pregnant? No. Please tell me somebody saw that because his pro day was yesterday, and they were doing all the weigh-ins and stuff, and then he was doing some throwing outside as well, and he was just in his shorts and cleats and stuff. The man looked like he was at least 4 or 5 months along. And the caption was, "Is Jameis Winston pregnant?" #April Fools, and I'm like, oh my god.
Well, I heard that people were concerned about his weight, that he had some weight issues.
I guess I didn't realize it either because you always see him with the jersey on or shirt on, so you don't, I guess, really realize it until they strip you bare down for your weigh-ins and stuff for your pro day. But I saw that picture and I'm like, oh. Well, okay, interesting. But I do find it funny, and I wonder if Roger Goodell is like throwing things in his office knowing that the 2 first and second picks in the draft more than likely are not going to be there. Which is kind of funny, and I think it's a good old slap in the face, kind of an FU to the NFL saying, not about that life.
Did they say why they aren't going to be there?
I haven't heard. I don't know if you have, Megan, or not.
I haven't heard, but I think it's wonderful. I hope that Roger Goodell is actually throwing stuff at this very second, because I would find that great. Less things in life would give me more joy than Roger Goodell furious and throwing things. I thought about taking the Roger Goodell, stepping down as commissioner thing for the first segment, but I just didn't know how far I could run with that. So I figured
I could have. I could have. Because you know me and my feelings.
I know you do. I know you do. Roger Goodell is just such a wonderful man, part of the biggest corporation in the world. You were not here, Megan, when we talked about this real briefly before we let you go. The NFL looking to expand international games to Mexico and Germany. Do you think it's a good idea, or do you think it's kind of not really necessary? I get the London games. I still don't even fully understand because England cares more about football than they do about football.
Yeah, but they still sell out the stadium.
They do. I mean, they fill Wembley, 90,000 seats in Wembley. That's fine. I completely get that. And I think at the NFL is just kind of like, is this like a peace offering? Is this like Revolutionary War kind of going, saying, look, we know we kicked your butt. Here's the NFL. We're going to take more of your money kind of a thing, or taxation without representation. That's not fair. Anyway, the Redcoats are definitely coming. Watch out for that. But
you do pay attention.
I really do pay attention to history class. I'm so excited right now. But Megan, do you think the idea of going to Mexico, which is kind of weird in my opinion, I feel like they have to send the Cowboys if they send anybody to Mexico.
I guess my question is why? Why do we need to be expanding internationally? I mean, football, as we know it in America, is, basically an American sport, and we all enjoy it, and that's great. But the other thing is, if you send teams to Mexico, or you said Germany, right?
Yes.
To Germany, you're taking away home games for a team. And
yeah.
That, I think that's kind of unfair for one team to only get, 7 home games instead of 8 because they had to go play in Mexico without their fans.
Yeah. I mean, and you still might get some good fans down there. Like, it depends on the team you send, but if you send, like, a Jacksonville and whoever else they're going to send. Like, Jacksonville has another London game this year. And now I get the Jaguar fans basically have to get paid to go to their own home games, and I totally understand that. But at the same time, if you're going to send a team to London and make such a big hoopla deal about it, at least send teams people are familiar with. If I was a casual NFL fan in England and I heard the Jacksonville Jaguars are coming, I'd be like, is that a college team? Is that a co-ed, recreational volleyball team? Like, who's coming over? I have no idea who this is. It doesn't make sense. You need to send teams like Dallas, like Green Bay, and even from New York.
I disagree. I would not want the Green Bay Packers going over there, especially if it's a home game.
Well,
because
it depends.
Look at all these. Because
if it's a home game or not. If it's a home game for the other team that they're playing, well, then obviously it doesn't matter as much.
Right, but if it's a home game for instance, just the Green Bay Packers, if you're familiar with how aggressive getting a ticket is for a Packer game, it's extreme, especially for season ticket holders. If you want to get on the season ticket list, you are estimated to be waiting 200 plus years to get your tickets.
Yep.
And just to get a ticket, it's at the door, for just vendors standing outside the stadium, it's about $150 for a ticket. Now, if you took that away from Green Bay, who is already a small town, that could have a lot more implications than just, hey, go to London for a game.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of just all depends on who they're playing, I guess. But anyway, Megan, we appreciate you stopping by today. Any final thoughts for us before we send you on your way?
I don't know. I think we pretty much covered it.
Okay.
Have
you pulled any April Fool's jokes on any of your friends at all?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
But the day's still young.
I've
got time.
It's only 9:40. I mean, you got plenty of time. Miles to go. Sounds good. All right. Well, we appreciate you stopping by. Where can the good people of Twitter find you at, Megan?
They can find me at LawnVotter812.
LawnVotter812. And you write for who again?
Dairyland Express.
Dairyland Express, a part of the Fansided Network. All right, Megan, thank you so much for stopping by. We'll check in again with you probably next week after the Final Four and everything's all done and said and done. So, Grant, you have something to say? You look like you were about to say something.
No, I was just getting ready for my rant.
Oh, for your rant? Oh, is that what happens this time of the show?
It is.
It's an exciting time, Grant. I like it when you rant.
Oh, do you?
I do. Do you enjoy ranting?
I do enjoy ranting, and I had a good problem today because I had 2 rants, and I didn't know which one to pick from.
Because usually you come in the studio and you're like, what should I rant about? I'm like, Grant, you have one job.
No, I have an idea, and what we were talking about before is that sometimes we just had slower news months, and It's just kind of what do we talk about? We're trying to find stuff, and we're really not sure. But now the stories are starting to roll in more, and I've been able to find them
true.
Be that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah. Okay, you ready to roll?
Yeah, I'm ready.
30 seconds on the clock. Now you're going to just talk and talk and talk. You get 30 seconds, Grant. Gosh.
Sometimes I want to say more. 30,
okay.
last time. I did not
that
have
was
enough.
A good subject to talk about, though, for a while. So, all right, 30 seconds on the clock. Grant, on your mark, get set, and go.
The Dallas Cowboys, officially or unofficially, depending on who you side against,
so unofficially.
Practically unofficially, are no longer, quote-unquote, America's team. Thankfully, good riddance, get rid of them. The Green Bay Packers are now projected to be America's team, with the poll saying that 22% of people who follow the NFL cheer for the Green Bay Packers.
Whoop, whoop. Time's up. Wow. Where did you hear that?
NFL Insider.
NFL Insider.
I don't know if that's if that is the NFL official one, or if it's just some like cheap like knockoff NFL Insider.
Gotcha.
But I'm pretty sure it's the
Well, I've been
NFL
hearing that too,
one.
though. I've seen different articles linked from many credible sources from SB Nation and a lot of other things that have said that the Packers are now America's team.
CBS Sports though said it was the Broncos, so which I don't even know how that's a thing. The Bears were third though in the poll by having 8%.
Aw, that's cute. 8%. Remember when that actually mattered. All right, we're going to take a fast break. When we come back, intern Laura's in the studio. She's going to give us her thingamabopper. And we're going to talk about the U.S. men's national team and their draw to Switzerland. And Grant's going to give us a little bit of hockey Canuck style. We'll be right back with the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Grant, it's an April Fool's Day of the show, and today's Wednesday, which means it's what?
Hump Day!
There you go. You finally got it right, Grant. I'm so proud.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We've had such a fun show so far. I gave Grant a heart attack in the first segment as we
The
did
first
some...
segment was not fun.
It was fun.
I was
Go back and
legitimately-
listen to it.
I was legitimately having a hard
It
time.
was a lot. I had a lot of fun.
My head was pounding. I'm like, this is just a joke. It's just a joke. It's like there's no place like home. There's no place like home.
Exactly. You were
kind of thing.
clicking your heels that you forgot to wear your ruby slippers this morning. But someone that's not forgetting to wear their slippers this morning in terms of high heels is intern Laura, who's in the studio with us now, Grant.
Where did you get with that?
I have no idea.
Oh my
Somehow
God.
in bed she just... Yeah.
They can't even see it.
But she's wearing new heels, right?
They are new.
Yeah. I pay attention. I pay attention to history class. I pay attention to fashion. Get on my level this morning, Grant. You can't even with me today.
I can't even with you any day.
That's very
honestly.
true. That's very true. It's a miracle that my fiance loves me as much as she does because
It really is.
It really is. So thank you, Liz. I really appreciate you. Anyway, intern Laura is here. She's got her thingamabopper for us today. So what exciting things do you have for us today?
All right, I made a little game for you
Yay,
guys.
I like
A
games.
game. It's actually pretty much just trivia more than anything.
Game on.
But they're questions that you probably won't know the answers
I'll
to,
crush
so
you,
I'm
Grant.
excited.
Let's go.
Get
Okay.
on my level.
Well, there's 3 questions, so
Sweet,
it's
let's
not
go.
like a huge.
I'm ready.
Okay,
Let's
so
go.
don't cheat. Don't look at my
I
notebook.
won't.
Okay, so starting in Texas in 1998, a football league was created, but instead of wearing cleats and running around on their feet, players use this: A, unicycles, B, women's heels, or C, stilts.
I'm gonna go with C, stilts.
I'm going to go with heels.
You are both wrong.
What?
It is unicycles.
Okay.
Oh, that's impressive.
That's
That's
You are
impressive.
both wrong.
That's impressive. Wow.
0 for 0.
How did that? I'm assuming that league didn't work out too well then, huh?
Yeah, probably.
No,
not.
I'm pretty sure it's still going.
Wow, I'm gonna have to.
It's a
YouTube. I'm
thing.
gonna have to YouTube that unicycle
kinda cool.
football.
Like,
Kind of
I
just
saw
like
pictures.
semi-pro pillow fighting.
Yeah, exactly. Hey man, don't mess. Those girls will mess you
amazing.
up.
All right.
Semi-pro pillow fighting on unicycles.
Yes, with Elizabethan collars.
Perfect.
Yes.
Ronda Rousey, do you want to?
Anyway, next.
Okay, so the next question is: in this unusual sport, world championships are held in which competitors race in this: A, couches with wheels, B, bathtubs, or C, giant hot dog buns?
C, giant hot dog buns.
I think it's A with couches because I've seen couches with wheels before.
We're both wrong again.
Oh my gosh! Come on.
It's
'Cause
bathtubs.
I've seen the bathtubs as well, and it was a tie between
I
the two
I
of
was
them.
thinking I was thinking like I've seen all 3, but I think I was just thinking of the sausage races.
Yeah.
Oh,
That might have been what I was
okay.
thinking of.
Dang it!
That was my favorite one. I take a lot of pride in making up that giant hot dog bun one.
I appreciate that. Was well
cute.
thought. You got Grant at least.
Yeah, at home we actually have outhouse races where you design your own outhouse and then you put someone in it and then you put wheels on it and you just let them go.
That seems like a Wisconsin thing to do.
That's a very Wisconsin thing to do. Oh my gosh.
It's pretty cool.
Okay, and our final question.
Okay, your final question is, in this world shooting competition starting in 1971, bullets are not shot through a tube, but rather these. A, hamsters. B, peas. Or C, people.
Wait, so you're telling us what the bullet is?
Yeah, what? It's
okay,
not a bullet.
because the way you phrased the question made it sound like the bullets were being shot out of a hamster. I was like,
I thought like they were getting shot into hamsters, and I was like, what?
Hamster abuse. No. Stop the hamster abuse.
I'm gonna go with peas. B.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with people.
Grant, it's
Yeah! Woo! Champion!
You won because you got 1 point.
Yeah, get on my level,
That's so
Baxter.
sad.
Why didn't you get a point?
Because I apparently am not smart enough to
you
play
scrub?
Intern
Come
Laura's trivia.
on.
I need to brush up on my
Step up.
super weird trivia things that Intern Laura pulls for us.
Yeah.
That's all good.
Should have studied.
Should have studied more.
Kind of like that history test.
Hey, I'm very proud of my history tests.
Are you? Are you really?
Always so much. Anyway, Intern Laura, thank you so much. Any final April Fool-y things you want to say before you have to leave?
Not really. I'm really excited to rub it in my boyfriend's face that the America's team is
Yes,
not the Cowboys.
take that, Brian.
Yes.
It just sounds like a Cowboy fan, Brian.
Brian.
Well,
Brian.
what?
Yes.
Any name.
That's such a Cowboy's name.
It is.
Brian.
Yeah, Cowboy Brian. Like Cowboy Grant doesn't sound good. Cowboy Brian.
He actually does wear a cowboy hat.
See?
He loves his cowboy hat.
We should get cheeseheads.
We should. We
really
need
should.
cheeseheads for the studio.
We really do.
We have some exciting stuff coming for the studio. I think cheesehead needs to be next on that, and along with that Vince Lombardi bobblehead.
Definitely. I had a cheesehead. I don't know where it went though.
You probably ate it.
I was hungry.
I don't know.
I'm not proud of it.
Gosh. I couldn't tell if she was like
I'm
sarcastic.
not sarcastic.
You guys are both idiots. Oh gosh. All right. Well, Intern Laura, thank you so much for stopping by. Where can the good people of Twitter find you?
You can find me on Twitter under Intern Laura BGSS.
Terrific, and she also helps run social media for us occasionally as well. So make sure to check out any fun stuff that happens on our Facebook, Twitter, and now Instagram as well. You can find us on all of those, the Bax and Grant Sports Show, and at BG Sports Show as well. So I don't know what our stuff is. It's there somewhere. Anyway, Intern Laura, thank you so much for stopping by. Enjoy the rest of your April Fool's Day. Don't get pranked too hard. Grant, speaking of getting pranked, the U.S. men's national team, they do it so well. They pick up a lead early in the game, and then Josie Altidore decides to mouth off to the ref and get a straight red card.
Oh, nice.
And
well
then
done.
And then in traditional U.S. fashion, this is what I wish would have been an April Fool's joke, is that the U.S. would actually close out a game without conceding a goal, because in the 80th minute, Switzerland scored a goal to tie the game, thus leading the U.S. to draw once again in an international friendly. It's so lovely. It's amazing. And it's not. It's really not.
It seems to happen a lot.
It really does. The U.S. is notorious for giving up goals late in the second half, and it's like, oh, we're up 2-1. Oh, they're up 3-2. Oh, they're up 1-0. And there's a goal scored now. It's like, oh, fabulous, wonderful, thank you. It's
well done.
Painful. Yes. Wow. All right. No, it's very painful, and it's difficult to be a consistent U.S. men's national team fan. Jürgen Klinsmann, the German, doing the best they can.
The German.
Jürgen Klinsmann doing the best he can with the football of the Americans.
I saw a video once of, it was just like, he still got it or something like that. He was on the sidelines. It was a friendly, and there was a ball that was kicked out of bounds, and he caught it with his foot and just like dribbled it out of midair. And I was like, "What are you doing?
Once
like,
you
why
go German,
you
you never go
coaching?
back.
Like, just play. You still got it."
Exactly. He's probably better than half the guys on the national team. I thought it was hilarious, Grant. I was on Twitter yesterday, and somebody posted a Jürgen Klinsmann post-loss press conference bingo card. This is seriously gold. Like, oh my gosh. I sent it to all of my friends that actually understand like the concept of this. The free space, this is my favorite one. Anything said in a German accent. Which is, he's German, so
right.
I mean it makes sense. But it's some of these comments. I hear him saying it in his accent. We need to be more proactive. We need to get nastier. Obviously, there's a learning curve here. Like anything like that, it's just so German of him. It's wonderful.
Now, Baxter, I have a question
Please,
for you.
What do you have to say?
does the men's national team, I know how to talk.
Yes.
Does the men's national team struggle because of coaching, organization problems, stuff like that? Or is it just lack of talent, lack of soccer being a big deal in America? What do you think the big problem is compared to more developed soccer nations?
I think the biggest issue in terms of the U.S. men's national team is that Jurgen Klinsmann can't stay consistent with the players that he calls up. He loves to mix up his rosters. He loves to try new things, call up players that have never really had a lot of experience or had a lot of experience and never turned out very well. He never can stay consistent, and consistency is a big thing when you develop a soccer team. You have to have those. That's why you see teams like Germany, like Spain, like France, Italy, England. Those teams have that same core group of players. Yeah, there's new teams that come in the team, but you have those same core players that come in every time that maintain consistency and help develop the younger, inexperienced players. And the U.S. team struggles with staying consistent.
Well, yeah, there was I'm forgetting the player, and I know he's like a big soccer player, but it just shows how much I don't follow soccer.
Yes,
but
Landon Donovan?
Yes, yeah. It was a big deal when he wasn't called up for the World Cup.
It was.
The World Cup team.
There was rioting in the streets because Julian Green got called up, I think he was 19 years old at the time. Then you look at Chris Wondolowski getting called up as well, an older striker that's on the wrong side of 30. Why do they both get called up and not Landon Donovan, the golden boy of U.S. soccer, as it were? It bothered a lot of people. I understood at the time why it happened, but looking back, I desperately wish that Donovan would have gotten called up as opposed to Green and Wondolowski.
Yeah, but he did make a really funny commercial of it after.
Oh, he had a great time with it.
It was great.
And that's one thing I think people really respect about Donovan's character is that even if things don't go his way, he can still laugh about it. Yeah. He's not super serious like, well, Jurgen Klinsmann. Like, he had some choice words, but he was semi-respectable about it. Yeah, anybody would. You're the face of the U.S. men's national team, and you're not going to go to the World Cup when you're obviously going to retire at the end of this year. It's like, come on, man. Like, you just one of those things. But real quickly, Grant, what's going on in the hockey world before we bring Megan Landvatter back to play What If before we close out the show?
All right. Well, I just wanted to touch on the new power rankings that came out Monday. They came out before the show or after the show, excuse me. So I wasn't able to get updated ones for you then. But finally, that I've been waiting for, the Minnesota Wild, since their turnaround in mid-January, are 26, 6, and 2. They have won 26 games, have lost 6 in regulation, and have only lost 2 in overtime or a shootout.
And that's been in how long?
That's been since January, mid-January. They have won 26 games. It is absolutely fantastic. I'm super excited for them. They have 44 wins, 25 regular time losses, and 7 overtime losses. Finally, the number one spot in the power rankings. Unfortunately, they are still in the number one wild card spot.
Which is weird, because if you're number one in the power rankings, I feel like they'd be higher up in the standings.
Well, it was because they did not start off well to the season. I was actually looking at some of the older power rankings. It was really interesting to see how the season was going, but they were once noted as the biggest disappointment for the year. And when Kevin Dubnyk stepped in...
Doobie.
Yeah, what was the nickname now?
Duberino?
It's I have it right here. It's Doobie Doobie Doo.
Doobie Doobie Doo.
And I love it. It's great. So once he came in, was able to solve some goaltending problems for the Wild. They picked it up. So now that's why they're number one, but still the number one wild card spot. And they're still the number one wild card spot because they had a lot of ground to make up. But they did that. But they might be able to squeak into the top 3 Central standings because the St. Louis Blues have now dropped 2, and the Chicago Blackhawks are now only a point behind them. It wouldn't really matter so much if St. Louis and Chicago switch spots because they would be playing each other anyway as it is, as much as I hate that.
Does it really just matter in terms of like who gets home field advantage first?
Yeah. It really, all that matters is ice advantage, which is still a big deal, but it wouldn't change what team they were going to play. But if that continues to happen, the Minnesota Wild are at 95, the St. Louis Blues are at 99, and the Chicago Blackhawks are at 98. The Wild, with how they've been playing, they're on a 5-game win streak right now, which is absolutely insane.
Which is definitely helping me in my daily bracket picking. I'm like, oh, Minnesota Wild, picking them. And
it's already just automatic almost. They're pretty much automatic right now. I would not want to be a team to face them. I think the Minnesota Wild right now are just a favorite because they are just so hot. They can really beat any team. And so... really great, but yeah, they could definitely bump up in the standings and get an easier wild card draw, because right now they would be playing the Nashville Predators, I believe, if the playoffs started today.
Interesting. Okay, well, I do have a quick question for you. I asked you this last time on Monday's show for my daily bracket pick. I've got 2 hockey things to pick this time. I've got the Penguins versus the Flyers.
Penguins. Okay. Don't even have to think about it.
Okay, and then I've got the Sharks and the Avalanche.
Ooh,
I think it's the better of 2 evils on that one.
That's a tough one.
Because they're both San Jose's got 83 points right now in the wild card, and Colorado's got 82.
Yeah, I would say to go with Colorado because Colorado's in the Central, and the Central's just tougher.
Okay, sounds good.
That's really my only standing behind that. They're just not the best of teams right now.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. All right, we're going to move into our What If segment since it is What If Wednesday. And we'd like to welcome back Megan Landvetter back into the studio. She's going to play What If with us today. Grant, you have the floor, sir. You get to ask the first What If question for Megan and I.
All right, my What If question is, what if my most bestest friend in the whole wide world, Mr. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, was not commissioner?
Starting, effective immediately? Or
never, ever was.
Never, ever.
Never, ever.
Getting back together. Like Taylor Swift.
Exactly.
Okay.
Good old T-Swift.
T-Sweezy there. Well, I'll keep it short and sweet. I think that the NFL would not be in the advanced state that it is today. I think as much as the issues that he has caused in the last few years, you have to commend the excitement and the power that he's brought to the league.
I don't know if I can fully answer that, only because if Roger Goodell wasn't commissioner, I don't have a candidate that would have been. So I can't compare it to...
all we've known is Roger Goodell.
Yeah, so if you don't have Roger Goodell, if there was a different candidate where you're like, oh, this is what he would have done, but I don't know necessarily, just because I don't know who it would have been.
Yeah. Yeah, but what you, Baxter, said, that's pretty fair, because he has done, even though he has had to make some controversial decisions, and in a head position, like commissioner of the whole NFL, you're going to have to make the tough decisions, and you know that not everybody's going to agree with you on that. But like you said, he has built up a lot of excitement and moving games to international venue stuff we talked about like that, and just
10 years ago that wasn't even a thing.
Right.
Nobody would have thought of
that. If
you
you would have said that we're going to play a couple games in London every year, everybody would just think you're absolutely crazy.
It's true. It's very true. All right, Megan, your What If for Grant and I is?
All right, my What If is a Final Four theme. What if Frank Kaminsky did not return for his senior season? Would the Wisconsin Badgers still be relevant, or would they just have completely had just an awful... where would they have been?
The Badgers would have been, I would say, probably around a 7 seed. They would not win the Big Ten tournament. They would be up there in the Big Ten standings if they were... Is this injury or no injury to Trayvon Jackson?
Let's assume no injury.
No injury? Then I think they would be okay, but Frank Kaminsky is their number one player, so they definitely would not be a number 1 seed. They would definitely not be in a Final Four position either.
I think that first of all, their press conferences would be far less entertaining. And second of all, I think I would agree with that. They would make a decent run, but they'd be one of those teams that would probably go out in the first maybe 2 or 3 rounds, and people would be like, oh, Wisconsin's out. Okay. No big deal.
Weren't expecting him to go too
No, deep. The expectations would not be as high for them. I think they've got good players, but Frank Kaminsky really is that X factor for the Badgers.
Yeah, especially looking at the Arizona game.
Yes.
How much he stepped up.
Yep, I completely agree. All right, my What If to both of you is that I can't think of his first name, but I know his last name is Grant. Hi, Grant. What if Grant had made the shot at the end of the Notre Dame game to beat Kentucky?
That would have been absolutely disgusting, because he had 3 defenders draped all over him. But also, I think you'd have people in the media saying, oh, it was a fluke. It's just an awful way to end Kentucky's perfect season run. It shouldn't have happened. There would have been so many haters on him. But there would have been, on the flip side of it, there would have been so many people just ecstatic. I wasn't expecting much out of the shot. What I was expecting was they had about 7 seconds to come down the floor. Somebody give him some kind of outlet because he automatically had 2 huge guys on him. And then a third guy pulled over. Yeah, you're covered. But you have to at least get open. There's no rebound opportunity. There was like 2 Notre Dame guys just kind of chilling, watching the shot at the rim. It's like, come on, last shot, try to give him an outlet pass to go for. Even though he's your 3-point shooter, you got to give him something. If he's defended that much, he can't make a shot.
Tell us how you really feel, Grant. Jeez, I feel like Megan's got I got nothing left to say.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you follow that up?
Sorry, I just kind of went out on a tear.
Grant's rant point 2.0. Goodness.
That's right. No, I think that there would just be a lot of rejoicing because I thoroughly believe that nobody wants Kentucky to win. I mean, they did a poll on whatever, and it showed, basically the entire country wants Wisconsin to win, with the exception of the states of Kentucky, of course, and Minnesota. Minnesota wants Kentucky to beat us, so that's cool. Bring it on.
Well, what do they know? They're just Gopher fans.
They cheer for Vikings.
Exactly.
So,
they're not even in the NIT tournament. What have they won?
Awkward. But they did win the NCAA tournament this year. No, I'm kidding. Remember from the first segment?
Oh,
Grant's heart can't take
I was
any more
like,
of
what
that.
are you talking about?
All right, well, once again, Megan Landvetter, thank you so much for stopping by. We'll check in again with you next week after the Final Four is done and gone and get your reaction to how the Badgers did or did not do. So thanks again. We'll see you on Monday. All right, Grant, as we close out another edition of the Bax and Grant Sports Show, April Fools has been a lot of fun. Where can the good people of the world find us on social media?
They can find us on Twitter at BG Sports Show. They can also find us on Facebook at the Bax and Grant Sports Show. And they can email us on Gmail at bgsportshow@gmail.com.
That is correct. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram now as well. You can find us at Bax and Grant Sports Show. For Grant Coppersmith, intern Laura, and Megan Landvetter, this is Baxter Colburn on an April Fool's Wednesday and a
Hump Day!
All right, we'll see you all on Friday. Enjoy the rest of your day, folks, and don't have too much fun with all the April Fool's Day stuff like we did. Have a good one, everybody.
On Wisconsin!
Woo!